highlight of the week is to talk to the wonderful Megyn Kelly, host of the Megyn Kelly Show. Find it on YouTube. Find it, of course, podcast, SiriusXM if you're in the US. Or you can see her here each and every Wednesday on Paul Murray Live. Megyn, lovely to see you. Who knew that what's been happening in the Middle East could get worse? But it always gets worse. You're on the air today when the first reports started to come through that a hospital had been bombed. The Hamas says that it was an Israeli strike, one of the many thousands that have made it there. Israel says no. It was one of the 30% of the rockets that they tried to fire from Gaza into Israel that ended up blowing up the hospital. Look, who is responsible is the story, but the reality is that hundreds of people are now dead.
This is a nightmare. It seems very clear that this was a Hamas rocket. Israel doesn't target hospitals. It doesn't target hospitals. Hamas intentionally puts its headquarters underneath hospitals. And according to the laws of war, you could, FYI, you could still hit the hospital depending on just how many Hamas terrorists you would take out and just how many civilians you would take out. I'm sorry to put it so blatantly, but that is, according to the rules of war, how you do these calculations. Having said that, Israel doesn't do that. They don't do that. But Hamas does misfire rockets all the time. And frankly, Paul, they're not beyond doing it intentionally for the propaganda value and to gin up support against Israel. They're evil. These are devils. Somebody who would murder the children the way they have, tie their hands behind their back, and then shoot them in the head, tie their hands behind the back, and then burn them alive. They're capable of anything. All right. So that's where we have to start from. But the media and the Palestinian Arab world has run with these initial propaganda releases from Hamas that Israel bombed a hospital. Politico, mainstream publication over here, Israel bombed a hospital. I mean, you know that this is what they're going to do. You know that there's at least a 50-50 chance the initial reporting on this kind of thing is going to be wrong. Hold your fire.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you about the evil of Hamas in any way, shape or form. The reality, of course, as well, is that, again, Israel says it's absolutely not the case, but when you've dropped 6,000 bombs, obviously that can be done with absolute precision. Whether one goes into the wrong place or not, we have to get a third party here to tell us what's going on. My supposition is very much with you about the evils of Hamas, but it'll be interesting to see what Biden says about it when he actually turns up, because, you know, let's be honest here, is that, you know, he's going to want to try to go in there to achieve two things. One, he wants to show absolute support for Israel. But two, he has openly said that he wants the innocent people in Gaza to be able to still have food, still have water, still have petrol, because, of course, they aren't Hamas. I never trust Joe Biden, but I tell you what, at a time like this, I'm frightened that it's Joe Biden in the room. What do you think?
I know. Me too. All we've done is project weakness since he took over inside the Oval. That's all we've done. And weakness has proven extremely provocative and dangerous, not just for the United States, but for her allies. You know, what happened in the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan continues to reverberate with lives lost, I believe. I don't believe we would have had a Russian invasion of Ukraine without that disastrous moment in Afghanistan. And I also question whether Hamas would have felt emboldened to do what it just did with America if we had a strong America and a strong president who knew how to lead, or at least in Trump's case, who was erratic enough that they were afraid of him. You know, I'm not saying Trump was some foreign policy genius, but he was erratic enough that he was scary. You know, Germany's Angela Merkel said to our ambassador, "Your guy scares me. I don't know what he's going to do next." And I think, unfortunately, what people know now is exactly what we're going to do, which is probably not much. You know, even in Ukraine, you know, the criticisms over here go at Joe Biden because if you're going to get in, you can't be a little bit pregnant. You know, either go in and give them what they need to defeat Russia, or don't go in. But we're trying to have it both ways, where we're running out of our own ammo, we're depleting our own sources, we're spending billions of dollars, we're fighting a proxy war now with a nuclear power, Russia, and we have no clear strategic objectives. Nothing that's obviously achievable. What, like just go back, give it all up, Russia, give it all up? That's okay. That's not happening. Russia's not losing, so it's really not happening. And now now the same thing is happening in Israel, where I just don't know whether Joe Biden has any sort of military might behind his threats that he's actually willing to unleash. And I certainly don't think the American public is in the mood for that.
Just on Trump, one without notice. Yesterday, he said he'd be willing to go to jail to save the country. Now, I thought this was an ad-libbed remark, but I went back and I watched. No, he read it off the teleprompter. Now, either he'd be surprised somebody wrote that in a speech or he meant to say it. He's also got his gag order from one of the judges. He's leading with his chin now, isn't he?
If he goes to jail, it's not to save the country. If he goes to jail, it's because the Democrats are trying to destroy the country.
Correct.
You know, Trump going to jail doesn't save anything. It will be an absolute travesty. He doesn't belong in jail. This is a joke. And it's not noble of him to go to jail. It's a travesty. It's deeply wrong and immoral. He doesn't belong in jail. Everyone knows that. It's not, he can't reframe it because he is likely to be convicted as like a service to the nation. That's not what's happening. But it doesn't make the prosecution of him any more right. It's deeply wrong. It should stop right now, especially because we need a very full, fair, robust contest for this White House now more than ever. You know, they always say, the Democrats always say, this is the most important election of my lifetime. And really, it's because, you happen to have a black man running for president, right? The most important, because we've got to get this particular man in so I can feel good about myself. This actually might be. America is in a state of decline. Our position as leader of the free world is in a state of decline, but it doesn't have to remain this way.